Hey friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com. Once again, I apologize for my neighbor mowing his lawn. I'm sure it grew 6 feet between Saturday and today, which is only Monday. He's on that tractor every day. He took off yesterday for Easter. Anyway, today I thought I would do some readings with a deck that, although I did a deck review on last year, I don't think I did any readings with it, so I thought I would correct that mistake today. It's a charming deck. It's called Old English Tarot, and it's designed keeping the Luttrell Psalter, which was a medieval, like from the 1300s type of prayer book or illuminated book, right? And I like to think of it as if old England had a tarot deck, which it didn't. But if they did, it might look like this. But before I get into that, I wanted to show you the result of my edging that deck I mentioned. I did 2 coats with the highlighter, which since I've done this, I've read online that you probably shouldn't use highlighter because oh, did I miss a spot? No, I got a crumb or something. I got a piece of dust. Yeah, you shouldn't use highlighter because I don't know what the reasons were, because it might bleed, but it didn't bleed. These cards are just fine. And I only ever edged one other deck, and I used my grandbaby's like Crayola crayon markers, which were also water based. And they worked out just fine, and they didn't come off, or they wear just fine. So this is only the second deck I've ever edged in all my years. And I don't know, I just thought it will prompt me to use this deck a little more often. And I did show you the other day the Marseille at night, which had that cool dark sky background. Now, I've been told since that he wasn't the first person to do that. I figured maybe somebody else might have done it, but also some other comments were that they wish that the whole thing were black and there weren't a white border. And I kind of agree. The thought occurred to me, since I'm not buying decks and I got to do something on this channel. I wondered if I would do a borderectomy, but I don't know. I'd have to buy a new cutting device because the one I used before, I didn't like it. I used it and I didn't make a single mistake, but it took forever to do. So I don't know. I'm not really sure what I'll do. It does seem that too bad that the edges weren't like black or something, because it just has a feeling. I agree with what a viewer mentioned. Well, I agree that it needed to have like no white edge, but to me it feels like it's unfinished. There's an unfinishedness about it, because I do like it. I do otherwise like it. I just feel like it needs to be finished. I want to mention how it was, sad it is that the Pope passed away. I wasn't Catholic. Well, I was raised that way, but I certainly don't want to see somebody die. And I had nothing against him. Seemed like he was a decent man. So I just want to mention, it's too bad to hear about that. But there's so many people who die every day, and we don't mention them, and we don't think of them even. But we keep all our loved ones in prayer and hope that the universe takes care of their spirits. So let's get on with it with this cute. I say cute, but it's not cute. It's not cute. I like it. I mean, it's kind of got almost has a pip vibe, except it's kind of like along the lines of, it's got the pips, but then there are little vignettes of pictures. Let me just randomly pick one. Okay, here we have 8 of Swords. We have this, we have the pips, we have the 8 swords, but then we have this little vignette of a little humble abode. And it looks like, well, it's not an abode. It looks like it's a dilapidated jailhouse because you see a lock in the door and a little damsel looking out. So, do I sense a hint of Rider-Waite-Smith in that one? I think we do. Okay, let me come up with some questions for the universe, and we'll do a few reads. Oh, one more thing before I flip the camera. We noticed yesterday there was no enactment of martial law. I did a read on that yesterday. So if he had gotten his way, according to my reading, had he gotten his way, or if he did what he wanted to do, it would have been enacted. But the hermit showed up, and I suggested that the hermit was somebody else's wisdom indicating that that wouldn't be a good thing to do. So as far as I know, I mean, nobody said anything. I've been keeping my eye on the news feeds, and so it wasn't enacted. Of course, there's no conversation about it either, which is kind of interesting because they made such a big deal of it. But I think that has a lot to do with how they do things. They just throw stuff at you and just overwhelm you with, like, every day there's like a half a dozen things that they did that are just, oh my God, you know. And half of it doesn't come to fruition. We'll see. I mean, they do enough damage as it is, but it's hit or miss which one are they really going to follow through with. Anyway, I don't really want to think about them today with this read. This is an upbeat, cheery deck. I want to come up with some upbeat, cheery ideas. You know, I wonder if my subconscious pulled this deck because we just had Easter yesterday. Like everybody did, but I mean, we just celebrated with the kids, and we had an Easter bunny, and we had, you know, an egg search, and, you know, it was just a great day. It was just immediate family. It was just grandparents, one set of great grandparents, and that's it, you know, and a cousin, and then, you know, all of us and all my kids, and it was just great. It was just such a nice day, and it just felt so calm and, you know, the way life is supposed to be. And maybe that's why I subconsciously or unconsciously reached for this deck, because it kind of feels like the day we had, you know. It was just kind of nice. Any rate, so I think I'll just ask, what can we look forward to this week? What nice thing can we look forward to this week? So I'm suggesting that if there's any negative cards that pop up, we'll try to read it with a positive slant, because the question is, what can we look forward to? So if we do it in the context of the question, we let the context of the question be our guide if there's a negative card. Now, sometimes negative things can have positive meaning to us. It all depends. So, what I just said, you know, so the tower, something collapsing. Well, I asked for good news, so this would suggest that it's something that maybe we should be in favor of, something collapsing. 9 batons. Quite a bit of effort has been put out by a group of individuals or community. The collapse of effort. The collapse of, and then we have 9 coins, which seems rather nice. It's a reinstatement of wealth or goodness. So maybe it's some type of collapse of a social structure. That's interesting. I don't want to ever get my hopes up too high. But this does look like a restoration of good things, doesn't it? So we have 16 and 9 is 25. 25 and 9 is 34. 34 minus 22 would be 12. So let's get the hanged one. Hopefully it's not too far. And maybe you don't mind seeing some of these cards. It's probably on the bottom. So in the way I understand the hanged one, it suggests humiliation or punishment for something. So, and I don't see the justice card. I mean, it's not like the justice card popped up like we're going to see justice, but it seems like there's some type of social collapse that will bring or restore all that's good and comfortable for us. And the suggestion is that there will be some type of public humiliation for someone. I dare not suggest who, but I did ask for good news for us. I did ask that. And I said right before I laid the cards that, even if it's a negative card, we'll read it in the context of good, right? So is there another way you would see that? Let's see, whose collapse will it be? Let me go off, do my thing with the cards, and I'll be right back. But the question will be, whose collapse or whose disgrace? Okay, so let's see whose collapse and whose disgrace. If the universe will allow us to see or to make a suggestion in what arena we could expect to see something like this play out. Not the emperor, the empress. Could it be a woman? 10 of Cups. Wow, this is curious because, I wonder if it'll be some type of, I like some type of collision or some kind of a powerful woman, a woman in a position of authority. It's not the emperor, so I'm not thinking it's him. You know what I'm saying? So it's a woman in a position of authority who seemed to have had it all together or brought joy. But there's something that will befall her. Oh, that doesn't sound very nice. So we have 3. 10 is 13. 23 minus 22 would be 1, which is the Magician card. Let me pull it. I'll be right back. Now, this is a second part to the first question. So the first question was, what is something good that will happen or something that we can look forward to, right? Then the second one showed what appears to be like a woman who might be greatly admired or a woman who seemed to, we do have the 10 of Swords next to the 10 of Cups, so they're in equal measure. Cups and Swords don't necessarily conflict with one another, but there could be agitation between them for sure, because it is still it's kind of a thing, like it's not as bad as if it's not the same as if it was like 10 batons, for example, because water and fire for me wouldn't work out, right? But we have something that's distressing. The card itself is a card of distress. We're reading the deck, right? So we have some kind of distressing thing happening here. So maybe she's going to become undone, but maybe we wouldn't have seen it in her, because this card suggests there was some kind of underhandedness, right? Some type of underhandedness or some kind of deception that maybe we didn't recognize in this individual. Or maybe we did, and it's just like being her ruin. Or maybe we just didn't understand the depth of her deception. Well, that would be very interesting. I could think of a few people in the regime that fit this bill, right? So, interesting. Okay, so the last question I thought of is, well, like, what arena would this be in? Like, what realm? I mean, our minds maybe tend to go to politics, but maybe we need clarification. They seem, that seems to be the arena where most of us would be very happy to see someone pay a price for something, or to, you know what I'm saying? But I guess I just would like some clarification on what the nature of their downfall will be, and where should we be looking? Like what areas should we be concentrating on or paying attention to, where we might see something like this play out? Okay. Okay, well, we have a political figure, so it's politics. It's in the arena of politics. It's in the arena of big money, right? Stability. Of course, these cards are skewed, so they're not like resting. Well, I guess they could still be seen as stable, but they are a little offset. And Ten of Cups now, and then that would be Temperance. So let me pull Temperance. So this is another day in a row where we got a card at the end as Temperance. Now I want to point out, sometimes I make mistakes. I had the other day, like maybe yesterday's video, I added up numbers. It was Temperance. I went through my deck. I found a card with cups, my brain just saw and I put it in, and it ended up being the Star card. Now I interpreted it as though it was the Temperance card, and then at some point when I was still talking, I started seeing it as the Star card. Now bear in mind that when I'm doing these videos, I have the camera in front of me, and I really am not looking at the cards. And if I'm not wearing my glasses, if I'm not wearing my glasses, sometimes mistakes happen. So I just want to mention that to you. After I watch a video, I'll always watch a video before I release it. And I usually always catch my faux pas. And then I'll always comment down below that I caught a faux pas. But bear in mind, and bear this in mind for yourself, when you do a reading, the message that comes to you, no matter how it comes to you, is the message. If you mistake a card for being something else, but the whole time you were doing the read, you were seeing it that way, then that's the message. At any rate. So the question was, this was like a 3-part question, right? Something to look forward to. So somebody's demise or some type of social collapse of something. Then we wanted to know maybe who, and the suggestion was it was some kind of woman who, and I forget all the cards, a woman who had some type of misfortune befall her, and we wouldn't want to be happy about that, because remember, all along it was like something to look forward to. So we don't necessarily want to look forward to somebody's demise, because that's kind of cruel, unless the person is somebody who's so wicked that it's kind of hard to feel sympathy for. And then I asked what arena of what should we look at this, like what arena of society would it be? And then we got King of Coins. So it's like somebody, in a position of power or close to power with an emotional investment in power. I wonder if somebody's going to bring somebody down. I wonder if a woman is not that the woman is going to be the one who is damaged, but it might be a woman who does the damaging. So I wonder if there's a woman who might have been in the inner circle who might reveal something. We saw the magician card in the last, who might reveal something treacherous that she's bringing to light because she's trying to detoxify. For me, the Temperance card is a card of detoxification. I know sometimes people see it as compromise. It could be. Sometimes people see it as maybe bringing restoration to a thing. I kind of have an old school kind of idea of like changing from one thing to another, or to detox. The purpose of temperance, the purpose of, in reference to what the word means, like with alcohol, right, is to detoxify, to add to it, to detoxify it. So I wonder if a woman, it's not a woman's demise, but if a woman is going to spill the beans, a woman who's close to an inner circle or to a person in a position of power. I think we had a read like that last week too. I asked like something like that and something similar popped up. I wonder if there's something brewing. Wow, let's just keep our eyes on that. That would be very interesting. And I think there was something else I wanted to mention, but I just can't remember. I'll have to mention it in the next video. Yeah, this is a nice little shuffler. I think my copy is 2006. I think it came out in the 90s, the late 90s, but I didn't get mine until later. But I wish I actually should use this more often. It's a pleasant deck. It just feels calm. It's a nice deck to use if you just need some calm, you know what I mean? You just receive a message in the calmest possible way. Until next time, friends, peace, stay well, and please be kind.